Hi, I'm Christine Pechstein with Move Into Action, and I am so glad that you're joining me today for this training on Life Management 101. If at any time you have questions, you can contact me or reach me, or even learn more information about life management and the coaching and training that I do if you'll go to moveintoaction.com. I have a blog, I have the Gift of Gab radio talk show that is on Blog Talk Radio each week, and I have a lot of other resources that are there for your viewing and for your training purposes. So if there are other things that you are looking at and would like additional information on those, please go to my website as soon as you finish with this and you'll find it all there. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. So what is life management? I get asked that all the time. What's a life management coach? What do you do? What does learning life management mean for me? Well, really, it's just there's skills that help us use our time, our energy, our resources, and our talents in ways that match our life priorities, that match our dreams and our desires. There are things that we want to do, things that we prefer to do, things that are super important to us. They may not be important to anybody else, but they are dreams and goals and visions that we have, and they matter to us. So why do we need it? It's to help us do those things without burning out, without suffering from compassion fatigue, so that we can be successful, we can do them and remain focused. Because if not, we're going to try to do everything, or we're going to find ourselves doing things we don't want to be doing, and we're expending our time, our energy, and our resources to do those things, but they're not really the goals, desires, and things that we see for our lives, or even in a specific season of life that we're certainly living in. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So how does the life management affect me? And how does it affect my family, Christine? What are these skills going to do? Well, that's just it. There's skills that are going to teach you how to manage, how to prevent, how to restore, and how to reorganize your life when necessary. So that's what you're going to learn throughout this coaching and training. Why is it important? Well, if you have ever had an unmanaged life, or maybe you're very good at managing your time and your energy, and you know somebody that has an unmanaged life, it leads to stress. We all have stress in our life. Stress is something that we can't exactly eliminate. We're always going to have some sort of stress, and actually a little bit of stress in our lives is good for us. But when we have an unmanaged life, then we have this chronic stress. We get then this compassion fatigue where it's like, well, I would really like to care, but you know what? I'm too tired to care, and I really just don't care anymore. That's compassion fatigue. We get burnout. We suffer from burnout. We lose the joy and the passions and the things, the dreams that we had. All of a sudden, we've forgotten about them, and they're no longer important, or we forgot that they were important. And so we're not living for those things anymore. We're doing everything else but those, and we're just burnt out, and there's no time or energy left over to do those things. And that is sometimes a really, really sad place to be. And it's not exactly the place that we want to live our lives from, because it can be super destructive. When that happens, there is this thing that I teach about in this training, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it right now. It is the snowball effect. And it doesn't just affect one area of your life. If you think a snowball, when it starts traveling down a mountain, it doesn't just affect one thing. It takes out everything in its path. Well, you have 9 different life areas. So if you have a super destructive snowball in just one of your life areas, say it's your career, that can start rolling, and it can affect everything from your career to your relationships to your ability to rest and enjoy life. So when we talk about the 9 different life areas, if you think about a super destructive snowball, as I explain it further when we go on, you'll start to know and understand that one area of your life out of whack can certainly affect the other areas. And when we don't do something to control what is happening, that stress and the chaos that comes in, then it can result in an unmanaged life, and it can take out all 9 of our life areas if we're not careful. And that's what life management training helps us avoid, because you're going to learn the skills and tools you need right now in order to move past those obstacles and the things in life that just happen. Some of them we have no control over. We just find ourselves having to react to them, to get through them, to persevere beyond them, to come out on the other side stronger than we were. when they first came into our lives and affected us. So there is a positive to even the things we didn't anticipate and plan on, but yet they happened and we found we had to live with it. So not everything is preventable. We don't cause everything that happens in our lives. Life just happens, but we have to have the skills, the tools, and the training in order to deal with it effectively, manage it the best we can, and still come out on the other side with a life that we're pretty happy with because we kept our focus, we moved beyond our obstacles, we got back on track, and we succeeded. And that's what this is. So I hope this is exactly what you are looking for. Now, what are you going to learn now? You're going to learn how to, again, protect your time and your energy. You're going to learn how to prevent burnout, fatigue, that overload and the stress that comes into our lives. You're going to learn how to persevere. You're going to learn how to take control of your time and your energy and regain your focus. You're going to learn how to reverse those distractions that can come into your lives and take us off of our intended path, that leads us away from the success that we were moving toward, that we wanted to reach. Any life areas that we had priorities set, we may have gotten away from those. We're going to learn how to reverse the distractions, clean them out, and change that snowball. Because we're going to learn how a snowball can actually do the opposite. You're going to reverse it. You're going to turn the negative into the positive, where something negative can be turned around and it can actually be turned into something positive for every one of your life areas. Instead of being destructive, let's turn it around. Let's learn how to focus it. Let's learn how to use it. Let's learn how to persevere. Let's learn how to get through it and come out better for it. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about we're going to change that snowball. That's what you're going to start learning from here on out. Okay, so the first step, I feel like I've done an awful lot of talking, and I have. Normally, when I do these workshops, it's in a group environment, and I'm not really sitting in front of a camera, and I'm not just recording, but I want to make sure that this is done in a time-efficient way. So I'm going to cover quickly everything you need to know so you can learn it, you can apply it, and you can get on with your life. I'm not going to keep you here forever, okay? So let's go ahead and start with the first step. What is it that you need to do first? In order to live your life the way you want to live it, you have to identify, you've got to establish, and you have to know what your priorities are. You need to spell out your priorities in all 9 life areas. Now, what are the 9 life areas? You've got your spirituality, your career, relationships, your finances, health, community, entertainment. You've got self-improvement, and you even have rest and relaxation. Yes, rest is a life area. We all need rest, and we need to build time into our lives for relaxation. We also need it for entertainment, self-improvement. This counts as self-improvement. Absolutely. So right now, you are doing something for one of your 9 life areas, which is your self-improvement. So congratulate yourself. Knowing your priorities as your first step, you have to know what you want as an ideal life. What do you want to spend your time and your energy and your resources doing? What is it that you want to do? What to you is the ideal life? A word of caution. A lot of people get judged here, and we do an awful lot of judging because we feel that what we want is the ideal life, but yet it may not work for the next person or the next family or the people that live down the street from us. What their ideal is different. So there's no right or wrong here, that we're not going to judge anybody, and you're not going to judge yourselves. Don't feel judged. But when you think about your life and what works for you and your ideals in each of those 9 life areas, what is it that you see? This is how you know and learn what your priorities are. This is how you establish them. Think about in each one of the 9 life areas, my spirituality, career, relationships, finances, health, community, entertainment, your self-improvement, and your rest and relaxation. What ideally does each one of those life areas look like? What do you see? What does it look like in the short term? And what does it look like in the long term? Now, it's going to change. Your priorities will probably change over the course of your lifetime many times. You're not going to just establish your priorities once and be done with it. Why? Because your life is going to change based on seasons. If you think about the seasons of life, we have spring, summer, fall, winter. Your life is much the same. but it's a little bit different, and here's why. Now, right now, you might be in a season of life where you have very young children. And so your needs and the needs of your family are going to be different than somebody who's got an empty nest now. They're going to have time and energy that they want to spend in different ways than what works for you and your family. You may have teenagers. That's a lot different than having young children. If you've got an empty nest, that's much different. You may be a single person. You may have just gotten married, and so now there's two of you in your family. And so it just depends. You may be somebody now who's caring for an older parent. Maybe now those needs are changing because the season of life is different. We have aging parents coming into the picture sometimes. You may be at the height of your career at this point. And so you might be a college student, and your focus right now is not a family, it's not dating, it is getting through school. So really, your season of life is going to affect your short and your long-term decisions and your priorities. So the first step is identifying and establishing your priorities so you know what they are right now, and then you can set up your action plan, identify your goals, and move toward those things. As your life changes, you're going to need to come back and reestablish your priorities and see where they've changed. Because your life is going to change, each life area is going to look differently, and you're going to have different goals and objectives during those different life seasons. Okay, so protecting your priorities. Now you've identified them. So now you know what you want to use your time and your energy and your resources for. So you've protected now you've identified your priorities. Now the second step, you've got to protect your priorities. Why? Because you've got to protect and preserve what is important to you in each life area. If you don't, somebody else will determine what is important to you, and you're going to find you're using your time and your energy living for somebody else's priorities. But that's not what you want, probably. You're going to want something different. And that's not wrong. It's just that you have different priorities, and you want to spend your time, your energy, your resources, and your talents and your skills doing different things. Well, if you don't protect and preserve it, there are so many things going on in the world today. Our lives, just because of our technology and things like this that keep us connected all of the time. We can find that we're constantly busy, but being constantly busy doesn't mean that you're being productive. And if you're not living your life in ways that are right for you, that work for you, or help you reach or maintain the goals that you've set for yourself or your family or your relationships or your health or anything else, if you can't maintain that focus, you're not going to be able to do what it is that you said is important to you and that you really want to do. So you have to protect your priorities by maintaining your focus, and how you do that is you need to create filters. If you think about filters for water, filters for a pool, they help clear the contaminants out. Because if it's contaminated, we're not really utilizing the best of what we have, right? I mean, who wants nasty water? Well, who wants a polluted life? A polluted life is just going to slow us down. It's going to make us sluggish. We're not going to be able to perform optimally. We're just not going to be able to. So how do we use filters? Well, once you know what your priorities are, and if you need to, stop here, go to those 9 life areas and write down, what are my priorities in each of those life areas? Get specific with them. And then come back, turn it back on right here and say, okay, I need to create some filters. My filters is a personal mission statement. Based on your priorities, what is it that your life looks like? What's going to help keep you on target? If you have to, create a family mission statement. Now that is different because you're taking into account your family. Each person in your family unit can participate, and you can learn what is important to each family member. That is awesome. I actually did that with my children. I do it from time to time. We sit down, big bowl of chips and dip, and we sit down at the table with a pad and a piece of paper, or a pad of paper and pens, and I give everybody a piece of paper, and I say, what is important to you with your health? Now, unless your kids are really, really young, they can do it. They can, the kids are like, well, I have to go outside and play because that makes me healthy. It makes me feel good. All right, so that's important. So what do we need to make sure that we have time for? Our kids go outside and play. Mine are older now. They like to go to the gym. Okay, so health is a priority for this family. We need to make sure that we are scheduling in our obligations and in our calendar time to go to the gym and be healthy. We don't want every minute of every day accounted for, so we don't have time to build in the priorities that are important to myself and to the family members of this family unit based on the current season of life. When my kids were younger, they wanted to go outside and play. We went rollerblading. That was how we got our exercise and so forth. We sat down, we had story time in the evenings. That was a priority for me, to be able to tuck them in bed every single night when they were little, and we did it through story time. Well, if you have priorities like that, things in your life areas, in your relationships, because that's a life area, that are important to you, you need to make sure that you're building those into your schedule. If you allow meetings every single night of the week to come into the picture, guess who's not at home to do what they said was a priority? Even if it's tucking your kids in bed by reading them a story every night, or telling stories, or whatever it is, or going to the park. You have to make sure that your priorities go on your calendar first before anything else does. Before they can go on the calendar, you have to know what they are. You have to identify them. And then once they're identified and you get them on your calendar, you've got to fight to protect them, because there are so many things going on. You can be easily sucked out of what your priorities are and what the goals you set for yourself are. And you can be working on many, many other things while they just sit, and that time slips away and you're not getting any closer to your goals. You're not spending your time and your energy in ways that are really important to you, that are meaningful. Meanwhile, time slips away and you can't go and get it back. So it's really important to understand what the specific needs of your family. Understand them. What are they? And you can ask your kids. And they love time with us. They really do. Even your teenagers, they love the time with you. So protecting your priorities, whatever they are in any of the 9 life areas, even if it's self-improvement, build it in. You need to make sure that you're not overcommitting. And when you are committing, that you don't let it become something that takes over your whole life. Now, when you're committing and when you're serving, because service and volunteering is so important, and we should all be volunteering and serving somewhere in community or in church. You need to be involved because it helps grow and develop you, and it connects you to community, which is extremely important. So I'm a huge advocate of serving and volunteering. But I'm an advocate of it when it doesn't burn us out and when it doesn't steer us away from those important priorities that help us build our lives on a solid foundation. Because there are things at home that have to be protected and prioritized and taken care of first before we start going out and giving. Because otherwise, what happens? People get burnt out because they're giving so much, they have nothing left over for themselves. They're not taking care of their own personal needs, or they are neglecting the personal needs of their family. And that is a big, big, big no-no. You can't do that. Family is too important, but so is your health, because if you don't have either one of those, you're not going to be able to focus on anything else anyways. Your world will actually crumble. You will end up getting so burnt out, and you're going to lose things that are precious to you. So serve, but make sure you serve smartly. And when you are seeking volunteers for different functions, if you're somebody that needs to make sure that you've got volunteers in place, there is something that you can do that will help your volunteers, but and if you are a volunteer, you can utilize this to protect your priorities and your time and your energy. Don't overcommit. You can commit for a self-defined season. You can tell them, you know what, I'd like to do this. I will try it for 90 days. We'll commit to this for 6 months. As of this date, we will no longer be available. We will be resigning on this date, and you'll need to have somebody else come in to do that, to take our place, because that way you're protecting your priorities. You're saying in 6 months, maybe our needs are going to change. Maybe we're going to want to try to serve somewhere else. Maybe we're going to revisit this and see, but we don't want to be committed to it forever, because there are many times when we volunteer for something and we end up getting sucked in, and it's like a black hole. You can never get out of it. And that was not the intention, but it happens. So when I talk about service and volunteering, I recommend, when I coach individuals, is that yes, get involved, but don't get too involved, and make sure what you volunteer for fits in with your priorities, that it does not interfere with the priorities, that solid foundation that you've set for yourself and your family, that they will allow you to maintain the focus, the mission statement that your family wants to live by, because this is important to us. It meets the specific needs of the family, and you're not overcommitting. You can try it for 30 days. You can say, I'll do this for 6 months. I'll do it for 90 days. On this date, I'm going to reevaluate, or this date we will no longer be available. So yes, that way you don't feel like you're getting stuck into some kind of void that you'll never be able to get out of. All right, so preventing unwanted distractions, because there's so much going on. It's so easy to get distracted. We all do. I can be sitting here and 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, wow, there's something new going on. I want to go check it out. Yeah, I want to get involved in that. And that happens to us all the time. A lot of times, once we say yes to something, people will think that we're the yes people. And so they keep asking the same people to serve over and over and over and over again, because this person always says yes. That is not good. Don't go to the same people that always say yes. As people that seek volunteers and manage volunteers, we need to make sure that we're bringing in new people, because you can't tax the same people that say yes over and over and over and over again. You're going to burn them out. They're going to get compassion fatigue, and they're not going to want to serve anymore, because they're going to get sucked into that black hole. It's going to be a void. They're never going to get out of it. And then everybody's going to ask them for their time and their energy, and they only have so much. If somebody's already saying yes, move to somebody who's not, and work to get people who aren't your yes people to serve somewhere. Everybody should be doing it. But anyways, even with our lives, with outside activities, because I have kids in high school. Let me tell you, there's football, there's volleyball, there's cheerleading, there are after-school clubs, there are dances. I mean, there is soccer, there is volleyball, there is everything that you can think of. There's debate. I mean, there's like, holy cow. Okay, we got to pick and choose here, because there's only so much time, there's only so much energy. Well, when we pick those, we have to make sure that we stay focused on those. Those work for us right now. That's what we're going to do. If somebody comes up and they say, hey, I want you to get involved in this. Okay, so your kid's in soccer. We want you to come and coach. We want you to do, and pretty soon it's like, well, I didn't plan on this. Where'd all this come from? Those are those unwanted distractions that can help take you away from the focus of your priorities right now. So if your career right now is your priority, you need to make sure that you're not getting pulled into things that you should not be getting pulled into right now. With your family, the same thing applies. Doesn't matter what you're doing. What you're working on and what your focus is and your goals are, you need to keep moving towards those. And you can't do everything. You can't. Now, some things are good and you're going to want to do them. So what do? You got to prevent those unwanted distractions, because if you don't, pretty soon you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. And you're going to be overwhelmed and stressed out and feeling burnt out. And then it starts that snowball effect. Because when you're stressed out, it can affect your relationships. When it affects your relationships, it can make you feel that you're not well. It affects your health. When your health is affected, then it can affect your career, because when I'm sick today, I don't feel like going to work. And when your career is affected, then your finances are affected. When your finances are affected, everything is affected. And so then you're in this cycle. That's that snowball. See, it started with one area. How we do this is we start by preventing those unwanted distractions. We don't want to get overwhelmed. You don't want to allow that snowball to sneak in. So here's what I recommend as a coach. I tell individuals, when somebody approaches you, you're already involved in stuff. You already got your life going. You've already set your priorities. You're already doing some things. You're working on your goals. You set your action plan. You're taking the steps. You're serving. You're involved in life. It's pretty good, right? Somebody comes out and they're like, hey, we want you to be a coach for this thing. Or, hey, we got this going on. Hey, you should get involved in it. Hey. Well, how do you deal with the hey? Here's the first thing I'm going to tell you. It's called the 24-hour rule. You need to write this down. The 24-hour rule. You're going to prevent unwanted distractions. Hey, we want you to do this. You need to get involved in this. Now, I need to think about it for 24 hours. I don't make a decision without consulting my life management, my list of priorities, and my calendar. Just simply say, I have a 24-hour rule. I don't respond to any decisions without thinking about it, looking at my calendar, and seeing what kind of time and energy I can focus into this. So I can't give you an answer for at least 24 hours. I got to think about it. I got to consider what I already have going on, because I may not be able to give you the time and the energy that you need. And you may be maxed out. So just tell them, I'm sorry, I can't respond for 24 hours. I'll make a decision, but I'm going to think about it for 24 hours, and I'm going to consult my schedule, and I'm going to see what's going on. Why? Because time limits for things the 24-hour rule, actually I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a second. The 24-hour rule takes you out of the spotlight to where you feel like you have to say yes immediately. You don't want to do that. So you can say, I'm going to consult it. And then you can go home and talk to your spouse if you're married. You can check your calendar. Check and see what's going on with your kids and stuff, what's coming up. Look at your schedule. See, what are we already doing? Look at your mission statement. Look at those priorities that you set. Does this really fit in with what we said we wanted to do? Does this fit in with where I'm at right now, or where I'm going with what I'm working on? Does this distract me from the focus that I have set, the places that I said I need to be going right now? If it does, you have 24 hours to consider it. Should I do it or should I not? And a lot of times your gut feeling will let you know whether or not you should do it or not. If you have time and energy and it fits in alignment with everything that you said you wanted to work on in this season, absolutely commit to it. If it doesn't, then you need to say no. I'm really sorry. I checked my schedule. I do not have the time to dedicate to this right now. I'm sorry. I can't do it. You need to look for somebody who can be, devoted to it and give you the time and the attention that this really deserves, but I can't do it. We are overcommitted right now. I'm sorry. We cannot do this at this point in time. This does not fit into my schedule at this point in time. Just keep it simple. But see, you just bought yourself 24 hours. You don't feel like you have to respond like that. So you can be honest about it. You're not lying, because I do not recommend ever lying. Don't do that. But just use that 24-hour rule. Okay. Now, what I spoke about beforehand, those time limits for the things that you do want to do, but you don't want to get stuck in a black hole of having to do it forever and the rest of your life. And, your children and your children's children and children's children's children are going to have to keep doing this forever and ever and ever, because once you commit to it, you are not going to get out of it. We've all seen things like that. If you want to prevent an unwanted distraction or prevent something from becoming a potential unwanted distraction, I would like to do this, but I'm only available for 6 months. I can do this for the next 90 days. On this date, I will no longer be available. In 6 months, on this date, I will no longer be available. I can commit to this for a year. On this date, I will no longer be available. This way, you've let the person know, yes, I will serve during this season, but at this date, you have to have a replacement. Non-negotiable, because I will not be there to do it. You need to make sure that you have somebody else lined up in 30, 60, 90 days, a year, whatever it is. That way, it doesn't allow it to become a distraction, because you were up front with them and you can remind them later. It's like, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. Remember, in 90 days, I'm going to be done with this. So, I will no longer be available. Hey, in 30 days, 30 more days, you need to have a replacement. Remember, because on this date, I'm no longer available. You already made that known up front. And so this prevents it from becoming a potential unwanted distraction in the future, and then will free you up to go and do something else, to revisit your priorities, to look at where your life is going, and what your goals are, and what you're working on now for the season of life that you're in, to then carry on. Okay, the zip it rule. This is so important. Okay, this is another one you really need to write down. Zip it. When somebody asks for you to be involved in something and you are busy and you don't have the time, or it's not something that's in alignment with your priorities, you just don't want to do it. I'm sorry, I don't want to do this. It's not in alignment with my priorities. I feel it's a distraction. Maybe it's just not. Maybe you're honestly just tired. I had that happen to me. If somebody comes up and they want you to do a task or be involved with them on something or sit on a committee, there are a million committees. There are committees that run committees that run committees that run committees. I mean, it can get ridiculous. And at some point, you just have to draw the line. No. Don't explain what you're doing. Here is an example of that. I had been training. I had been out. I was tired. I got home. I had marked out on my calendar the whole weekend to spend with my kids. What were we doing? Nothing. We were going to sit in our jammies, eat pizza, watch movies, and just gorge ourselves with chocolate all weekend. We were going to rest and just spend time together. We needed it. I needed it. It was something that was a priority for us. It was important. Whether or not it wasn't, what other people thought about it, and not my problem, but it was really important and we needed that. So I had my whole schedule marked off for the weekend, and I got asked if I would consider helping with a project. And I declined. I said, no, I'm sorry. I can't, because I have been traveling and I'm exhausted and I'm going to sit and I'm going to rest with my kids. We're going to sleep in late. No, I need the rest. Here's what happens if you don't zip it. If you tell them why you can't do something, you give them information that they will use to try to resolve your problem, which isn't a problem, it's your priority. But they will try to resolve your priority and eliminate it so that then you'll have the time to do what they want you to do, which is not what you want to do, because they're trying to fill their need. They don't care about your need. I needed rest. This person needed a volunteer. And, at the last minute, I was like, no, it's not what I want to do. I have priorities this weekend, and it's my family and it's my health. I need the rest. But I said no, because I'm going to make sure that I take this weekend to rest with my family. Here was the response. Well, you'll still be able to rest because we'll be done by 1 o'clock. So you can still be home early enough to spend the whole rest of the day with your kids. You can serve in the morning. You'll be home early. But that wasn't it. We wanted to sleep in. It did not fit. It just did not fit. And I was upset. But when I thought about it, I said, I gave them information which then allowed them to solve what they felt was my problem, which the problem was keeping me from serving to do what they wanted to do, which is their priority. Of course, it's a priority for them. They're working on it. I'm not going to blame them for having a priority. If they've committed to that project, that is a priority for them. But what we have to be careful of is that we're not stomping somebody else's priority so that our priority takes precedence over theirs. We can't do that. That's not right. That's when we start judging the importance of people's priorities. It is never okay to do that. Don't. So the solution here is to zip it. If you have your priorities set and you've got your schedule laid out, and somebody says, can you, will you, hey, we need you, yeah, we want you to do this for us. And you look and you see, no, this is my health, and this is very important, and I have it scheduled, and I need to do this because it is a priority to me. This is my life management priority, and I'm not going to give up the priorities that I've set. Then what you do is you don't explain it. Don't ever explain it. Say, no, don't say, I marked that time off because I need the rest. They'll go, oh, well, you'll be done by 10 o'clock. You can go home and rest the rest of the day. No, that's not it. Don't try to solve my problem. I don't have a problem. You have a problem with my schedule. I don't. This is the way I scheduled it. This is the way I want to keep it because this works for me. This works for my priorities. This works for my goals. This works for my family. This works for our needs right now. And that needs to be protected. We have to have those filters in place, and we need to prevent those unwanted distractions. So zip it. When somebody, and they'll wait for an explanation, you'll see them. Sometimes individuals will, it's like, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. We already have plans, or we're already committed on that day. They're waiting. What are you doing? They're waiting. Don't give them what they need to try to fix your problem. Don't say anything because it's not a problem. You've got your priorities set. You're committed that day. I'm sorry, we can't. We're committed that day. I'm sorry, we're not available that day. And that's it. You're not lying. You're not. You are not lying. I told you, I will not coach anybody to lie, so don't do that. So the zip it rule is something that you're going to have to get very familiar with. Just say, no, I'm sorry, we can't. Okay, because what we don't want to happen, again, is people will try to solve your problem, which is not a problem. I don't want you to solve my priorities. I set this as a priority. This is important to me. It's not a problem. I don't need you to fix and arrange my life around your priorities. I have my life set around my priorities. And if it doesn't work, I'm not the right person for that. You need to move on and find somebody else. Now, a word of caution here. Sometimes it is okay to, okay, you know what? I did plan on doing this today, but I really feel that I need to jump in here. I really feel that this needs to get done. Absolutely. If you feel that you are being led to jump in and to change it, then by all means do so. But by doing that, you let that become your norm. And so then you start pushing off your priorities. And so then it becomes a habit. And so then everybody kind of expects that that's what you're going to do because you're that yes person. Use it sparingly and be very careful. That is a caution. There are times, a tornado hits or somebody's home burns down. There's an emergency or there's something that comes up that just can't be avoided. And people need to jump in. You scheduled a day of rest. Are you going to rest during that time? Probably not. And I wouldn't expect anybody to. I know I wouldn't. There are times when we just need to get in, jump in. We need to get a job done and we need to serve each other. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the normal, oh, we've got a yes person here. Oh, we've got a yes person here. Oh, they'll say yes, they always do. Oh, and you're constantly putting your needs off and you're constantly putting your family's needs off. That's what I'm talking about here. Now, you know who those people are that will always come to you and they will wait because they want to fix your world to match their world. That you need to stop. People need to learn to respect your time and your energy, and you need to respect others' time and energy. Because I have heard as a coach, many people get upset over the plans somebody else has. And I have to say, okay, but whose time and energy is that? Is that theirs or is it yours? Well, it's theirs. Well, is there something wrong with how they're spending their time and their energy? You don't know because you do not understand what the needs of that person or that family unit. You have no idea what it is. And so you don't judge them. You just let them make their plans and you move on. If you need a volunteer, you need somebody else, move on and find somebody different, but don't start judging. Okay. So now what happens if we've said yes to everything under the sun and we've gotten off target and we're off focus? We're not focused anymore. We're just doing everything and our life doesn't make sense. It's a mess. We're doing everything, but nothing we want to be doing. I've allowed too much in. I've got a huge mess. Christine, what do I do? You got to reverse the snowball. You're going to have to clean your house. Now, I tell people all the time, you have a garage sale. How many times a year do you clean out your life? Because it's the same thing. You got to move the old out to make room for the new. Your life sometimes is going to mean that you're going to need to change and eliminate obligations, and you're going to have to add new ones because your life is going to change. When that happens, if you find you're overwhelmed or you're involved in too much or you allowed things to come in that just are not priorities to you, somehow they ended up in there. I don't want to do this. I don't know why I said yes to that. I knew it. You need to resign from activities. You've got to eliminate roles. And sometimes you need to step down or back out of places that you're volunteering or serving. Give a resignation date. That is not easy because some people will not accept no. If you're a volunteer manager or you've been involved with volunteer managers before, you know that some people will just ignore your resignation. I've seen employers do this. Seriously, I have. I've seen an employer who refused. I coached a woman. Her employer refused to accept her resignation, even a written resignation, and threw it away. So this person kept working because she said, well, she didn't have anybody to replace me. She won't take me seriously. Of course she won't, because you keep showing up. Really? It was like, respect your time and your energy and your resources. If you have resigned, you are no longer under obligation to do that. That is manipulation. And people will use it to keep you involved in certain activities. That is wrong. So if you want to clean house and you say, okay, I want to do this, but I've got to eliminate some things. How do I do that? How do I tell people, okay, basically I'm going to resign from volunteering here. Because, in your cleaning house, you're adding different things. A lot of times people just see it as you're going to eliminate it all and you're going to sit home and do nothing. No, that's not it. I'm just cleaning house. I'm shifting because my priorities have changed. My season of life has changed. Maybe my goals have changed. Maybe I want to try something else now. It's okay. But the best way and the easiest way to do it is to resign from your activities, roles, or places that you volunteer or serve at by giving a resignation. And how you do that is you put it in writing, just like you do a job, a polite note. It says, on this date, I will no longer be available. This is my last day. Give them 2 weeks like you do an employer. If it's someplace really hard to find volunteers, give them 30 days and say, on this date, I will no longer be here. And that's it. And then they're going to have to get somebody else in there. They're going to have to get somebody else trained. But it makes them know that you're serious. You are going to no longer be available. And you don't have to give them a reason why. You don't. If you need to take a season of rest and relaxation because you're burnt out, you do not have to tell anybody, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore. Because as soon as you give an explanation, you are giving somebody power to try to solve your problem for you. You don't want them to solve your problem. You just want to reprioritize your life. It's not a problem. It's a priority issue. So don't give an explanation. Just, I'm no longer going to be available for this. Now, if it's somebody, if you're going to volunteer and do something else, say, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to try that. I mean, those are okay. But sometimes it's just best not to say anything. Okay. You're going to have to be the judge of that, though. So give a resignation date. Say, as of January 15, 2015, I'm no longer going to be available. And so that will be my last day serving in this role or volunteering here or being the coach or leading this team or doing this volunteering in the community is going to be on this date. It's my last day. And so you've effectively volunteered. You've made it official. They know, got to get somebody else, better get them trained. Okay. And that's good. So, and besides, it helps you to leave on good terms because that's always a good thing. So, how do we know what we have to reverse? We're not sure. We've just got so many different things on our schedule and all of a sudden we're overwhelmed. Well, how do I know what to keep and how do I know what to get rid of? Christine, I've got so many things on there. I can't make heads or tails out of it. We have this conversation. Go back to your list of priorities. Even if you have to create a brand new list, go through and be specific. What does each life area look like? Why is this a priority? What do you want to see in the short term? What do you want to see in the long term? What does it look like? Okay, now take and make a list of all the obligations, the places you're serving. Look at your calendar. Does what you're doing fit in with that? What fits in, circle. What doesn't fit in, X out. That's what you need to clean out. That's what you need to resign from. That's what you need to get out of your schedule and your list of obligations to make room for the things that you do enjoy doing and do fit in with those, with your priorities, and make way for what you need to bring in because we do need to do different things in different seasons of life. That's how we grow. And so there's nothing wrong with it. We don't want to get stuck in those same things. We need to grow. And so we do need to clean it out and make room for the new. And that's exciting anyways. Okay, so go back to your priorities list. Look at your personal mission statement. Revisit or redo your family mission statement. What's important to everybody? Look at what's out of line, what no longer fits, clear it out, replace it, and get some rest while you're at it. Don't sweat it because things change. They don't stay the same. And we need to stay on top of it to make sure that we're using our time and our energy and our resources in our lives and in our communities and in our jobs, our life areas and our relationships effectively. We should want to do that. That just makes things better for a lot of people. Then we have that positive snowball that takes effect. Because we've gotten rid of the junk. We've made way for the new. We no longer have all that stress and that dead weight we're carrying around with us. We do that all the time. We carry dead weight. We carry baggage that we should have left 10 years ago. We don't need it anymore. Leave it. Free yourself and don't feel guilty because you're creating your life. You are working for your priorities. You're staying focused on what's important. Because we all have different priorities for our lives. A lot of them, they may be similar. But our family units and the needs of us as human beings is very different. And we need to learn how to care for ourselves in a way that we don't become burnout or overwhelmed, overcommitted. And then we have compassion fatigue. We just no longer care. I just don't care. I just don't care. That's not how we want to live. Don't feel guilty. So if you need to clear out your schedule or you need to eliminate and reverse things out of your life in order to clean it up and create that positive snowball effect, then do it and don't feel guilty. But don't clean everything out of your life and then just sit on your butt. That's not what we want to do either. We were meant to be active and participate in life. You got to build a life. You got to participate in it. That's the joy that we find in life. Don't clear it all out just to sit on your butt. Okay. One of the last things here is called a redo. I remember being a kid where you play in a game and it's like, oh, that's not how I wanted to do that. Let's do a redo. Well, life is the same way. I find myself even today doing this. And when I wrote the Think, Drink, Life, I talked about having to hit a reset button. And the Think, Drink, Life is my life management book. It's a faith-based book that I wrote on the 9 different life areas. It's the top 10 think drinks that every person should have and the lessons that come from them. One of them is the reset button. It is called a time out. That's where the concept of think, drink came from. It means you're taking time out of your busy, your crazy, your chaotic life, and you just like, hey, I need a redo. I got to start over. You need a do-over. Sometimes you just need to sit and you need to go back to your personal mission statement and your family mission statement. You need to re-look at your life areas, those goals, those priorities, your dreams. What were they? Where did I get off track? What am I doing now compared to that? Whoa. I mean, you'll look at it and you'll be like, I am so far off target. But you can do a redo. Don't let it get you down. Start over right there. You can call a redo anytime you want it. You can have your think drink. You can think about the 9 life areas. You can regroup. You can reorganize. You can commit and serve for another season. You can get back on track anytime you choose to. Don't get so overwhelmed, so overburdened, and feel so guilty that you just quit and give up and you don't do anything with your life. Don't ever reach that point. You start over. You hit that reset button. Take a time out. You go get a coffee and you grab a pen and a piece of paper. What are my life priorities? What do I want to see in my 9 life areas? What is it that is important to me and my family? Where did we go off track? What do we need to eliminate? Where are we going to clean house? How are we going to start over? What are we going to get rid of? What are we going to add? What are we going to do to rest? And what are the first steps that we're going to take to get back on track? That is your redo. So we have the seasons of life. They're constantly changing. So how often are you going to do a redo? How often are you going to clean out your life? How often should you revisit your priorities and your personal mission statements? Quite often. Because sometimes you've got 2 parents. And so your family is based on 2 parents. It's much different if you're a single parent. It can be much, much different. So if you're a 2-parent, a single parent, if you have young kids, that's a different season. If your kids grow up and they're teenagers, that's a completely different season. Your needs change there too. When your kids move out of the house and you're an empty nester, that is a completely different season. And your time, your energy, and your resources are going to change again. What if there's an illness, even a temporary illness? That's a different season that you're walking through. And so you may need to adjust your time, your energy, and your resources for that temporary season or that illness. It could be a short term or a long term. It just depends. Teenagers, that's a whole nother ball game. When you got teens in the house, you got people running everywhere. You got messes you didn't even know could exist. You're like, I just cleaned this place. Where did that come from? Because your teens are busy. They're big enough that, I mean, they can get into about anything. And so, you know, everybody's coming and going and you're on different schedules. And so there is no longer a family meal time. It is each person just comes in and grabs for themselves before they're off and running again. So when you used to do dishes once or twice a day, it is no longer. It's like an all day thing. And so your needs can change and your chore list should change along with that. But there are different things that will come about as these different periods come in and out of your life. And sometimes you'll even find you just need a period of rest. You may just come to a period in your life where you just need a renewal period. You'll have periods of self-improvement. You'll have periods where your career, it may have to be something that comes to the forefront. You may have a change in career. So your seasons are going to vary, and you should be sensitive to those and adjust your schedule and the needs of your family and how you do things, how you are utilizing your time, your energy, your resources, and your talents and your skills and so forth to adjust to those seasons so that you can use those things effectively without burning yourself out. Hit that reset button whenever you need to, and don't feel guilty. Don't go there. You cannot do it all. You're not supposed to do it all. You can stay focused when you are utilizing your priorities, when you look at your personal mission statement, when you use filters and you look at your list of priorities and your personal mission statements and, yeah, we should do this, or no, that is not even close to what we're about. That's not a priority for us. Don't do it. Stay focused. Use those filters and those tools to know, yes, we should do this. No, we shouldn't. Don't feel guilty for committing or not committing, because you are the best judge of that. Don't feel guilty for taking care of yourself. Don't. Take time out, rest, and recharge. Renew yourself. Not just yourself, but your mind. You need to take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Those areas you need to be able to take care of yourself, and those are a priority. And if you are so busy doing everything all the time, running around in this life like a chicken with your head cut off, you can't take care of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, how well are you going to be able to take care of everything else that you're responsible for? You're not going to be. Be a good steward of your time, your energy, and your talent. Don't do everything. Stay focused. And remember, you shouldn't feel guilty because your needs are unique. They absolutely are. Don't judge others and don't feel judged. Don't feel judged. Oh, she's not going to like me if I don't say yes. Oh, okay, fine, I'll do it. Don't cave in. Resist manipulation by others. And don't let your self-thoughts or your self-judgments, where you're judging yourself, where you're making yourself feel guilty and, oh, they're going to think. No, you don't know what they're going to think. And does it really matter what they think? Resist manipulation that comes from others, but also resist your own mind manipulating you with your self-thoughts that may not even be true. Resist even self-guilt that you place on yourself because you did or you didn't do something. Only you can judge where your time, your energy, and your resources should go. Only you know when you're burnt out, and you'll know it. Pay attention to it. Hit your reset button. Go back and use your filters. That personal mission statement is going to be your best friend, along with your list of priorities. And anytime somebody approaches you, make sure that you consult your filters. Look at your list of priorities. Does this fit? Do we have room for it on our calendar? Is it going to work? Does it make us too bogged down? Maybe I shouldn't do it. And also use those rules. The 24-hour rule, let that be your best friend. Don't respond for 24 hours. No explanation necessary. Zip it. Don't give a reason why you can't do something, because you're just giving somebody a problem, what they're going to perceive as a problem that they're going to try to fix or adjust so that you can then work everything, your time and your energy around their needs. And that is not effective either. Jump in when necessary and stand your ground when it's not. You need to protect your time, your energy, and your resources. Okay, so you have been through the whole Life Management 101 training. I hope this has been something that is very beneficial for you. Now, when I do the live coaching, we usually go through the worksheets and so forth together. But since this is a recording and you are downloading this, that is not going to be possible. They are included on the training page. So go and utilize those now. Work on your priorities, work on your personal and your family mission statements, because I will tell you, every successful journey starts with a map. And your map is my action plan. That is your action plan. Without an action plan, you could have the best priorities in the world. You could have the best goals that you could ever think of. You could have big dreams that you see, but until you start taking daily steps to move toward it, it's going to be something that's very difficult for you to succeed at and overcome your challenges and live and build and create the life that you really want. So go to your worksheets in the workbook. Every successful journey begins with a map, and start on it there. Okay, if you have questions or comments, please let me know. And if you want to leave a testimonial about the training and how it has helped you, that is also available at the testimonial link on my website, moveintoaction.com. Thanks for joining me. I'm Christine Pechstein, and I will see you in the next segment, which is our stress management segment. Worry less and live more. So if you're part of this training for the life management series that we put together, the online package, go ahead and proceed to that video because that is what comes next. All right, you guys have a great day. Thanks.